What's up, guy? What is up, guy? Welcome back to what Josue has to say. If you're new here, I am Josue, and this is what I have to say. Today's episode. Well, actually, before we begin, I want to remind you guys to please like, subscribe, share, comment, do all those things, as it does help out myself, the podcast, and every other content creator out there. Today's episode. The reason I wanted to do this episode was because, frankly, I'm getting old. And I've seen the importance of these two subjects that I'm about to present right now as I've been getting older. And I have seen how America is kind of deficient in these two areas. Basically, mobility and sun exposure are two areas that I have noticed that Americans kind of struggle with. You have your 9 to 5, you sit on your car, you get on your bed, you stay inside, just sit. You're basically indoors sitting down at all times. And it's getting to where at this point, thankfully, my body functions pretty fucking well for my age. But I have seen how friends of mine that are a little younger, a little older, they're always complaining, oh, my back, oh, my knee, oh, my ankle. And the common factors are the same. You're just constantly sitting down. You may go to the gym, but what's the gym? 1 hour a day, maybe 3 to 4 days a week. So I noticed that working out and mobility aren't exactly the same thing. There's an emphasis that I think people could make when it comes to mobility, which means use it or lose it type of thing. And a lot of our body parts we don't frankly use, or we don't use in the right ways. So to help me out with this is my virtual friend, Matt, aka KeysToLongevity. Matt, welcome on the pod.
I don't know what I'm doing here, Jose, honestly, man, but I'm very glad to be here. The biggest podcast after Joe Rogan's.
This is the guy I need here. This is the fucking guy I need here.
Thanks for having me. What's up, guys?
Of course, bro. So I started following you. I don't remember how, but I remember that I started following you because I like what you put out there. Your content, from what I've noticed, is, again, these two topics. It's really mobility, and you recently started releasing your products, which are for sun exposure and just for your skin in general. I don't know if you want to get into that really quickly before we really kick off. If you guys are watching, the products are right there.
HealthYSol. So just natural alternatives to the things that you're already kind of using. It's all made with organic, intentional ingredients that... we'll discuss it a little bit further later on, but it's my company I started with my girlfriend, handmade in Miami.
We need more local, sustainable, organic kind of products.
Coming, They're coming, man.
So, man, I love what you're doing, and I love that you're clearly younger. You're younger than I am, and I love that you have this space where you're influencing and inspiring kids to, care about health, care about taking care of their bodies, their mind, themselves. Because to be frank, when I was your age, I probably wasn't doing the things that I'm doing now. I was out partying, drinking. I still do that from time to time, but less. And I think I really want to say that I love what your generation, Gen Z, right? Yeah. I think a lot of you are doing because we didn't have that growing up. Also in my generation, I think it was the beginning of social media. So things are still getting like the footing on these things. And the emphasis just wasn't on health and on taking care of your body. Like, I'm sure there was, bodybuilding forums and all that stuff, but it wasn't to the degree that it is now. And I love how, you, Sobro, Logan, all these guys in the same Homer Helios, all you guys have this little network of the manosphere where you inspire each other and you care about these things and you push each other to grow in positive ways. That's not the typical Miami, let's pop a molly and go to space, right, type of thing, yeah. which I think is important. So I really want to commend you when it comes to that. How did you get into all this?
Sure. So just a bit of because it starts really when I'm 16, when I just start hitting the gym, start to care about my health, but from not the best approach, because I wanted to look good for girls, right? That's what most kids at that age kind of go to the gym for. It's always women. It's always. So I never went to the gym with a program or with a trainer. I just kind of looked up YouTube videos, Ronnie Coleman, Chris Jones, all these content creators putting stuff out, and just kind of took what I got from that and just implemented it to my routine. So for 6 years up until I'm 22, I've made mediocre gains. I was scrawny, then I got chubby, then skinny fat. The reason for that is just more so because of inconsistency and the lack of discipline. Because kids my age were getting results.
Nutrition or gym wise?
Nutrition more than anything, and then gym wise, just not doing the most effective, most productive exercise and movements. So at 22, then I'm going through kind of a bit of a crisis too. Like I don't know what I want to do with my life in terms of my profession.
Don't worry, it's probably one of the first many of crises that you're gonna encounter.
Oh wait, man. Well, I worked at HealthYSol for like 5 years, worked my way up. I was an assistant manager, and then no, I'm not gonna do this. I'll be a Fed. I started at the as a correction officer in Everglades Institution.
Oh sure, okay.
For a few months until COVID hit, and then I was doing.
How was that?
When during COVID or just?
No, just working there.
Oh, I mean, it toughened me up a bit. It's something I definitely I look back on, and I'm glad I tried. It's what they call I forget. It's a privileged institution, so it's criminals with like less than one report in the last like 5 years. They go over there and they get 2 recreation times. They get tablets. It's not like a hardcore prison, right?
It's not like a Russian jail cell type of thing.
Yeah. So it's not like I was dealing with real menacing people. Although they were there, were pedophiles, murderers, all that. So I'm there for a few months until COVID hit, and I'm doing back-to-back 16-hour days. I only needed one to I'm not going to do another shift like this where I come in at 2 p.m. expecting to come out at 10, and next thing I'm there till 6 a.m. the next day. So I quit that, and honestly, it's not something I'm proud of, but I just took advantage of the stimmies.
I love the honesty.
Unemployment, just a degenerate, just not providing anything for society, and
a typical Miami guy.
So my passion has always been helping people. That's something I got a lot of fulfillment out of working in HealthYSol and in the prison, because I was one of the nicer officers too, and it just, you could see in the inmates' faces the appreciation they had for just me listening to them.
Humanity, bro. Just being fucking human, yeah.
So that's, all right, I know I like this, where I like making people happy. The other thing that's always just lit up some sort of interest and fire in me is the body, how it moves, the mechanisms, the physiology, anatomy. I love it. So how can I combine those two worlds? Many options. But in the one that can just give me more immediate income was as a massage therapist. So I went to school a few months after I was unemployed for like 3 months. Then I went back to massage therapy school, and I completed my license in about 7 months. And that's my day job now. And I get to work with the body. I get to maybe guide or give some tips to people who come with all sorts of pain, neck, lower back, shoulder. And they leave happy, So I forgot what was the question.
Just how you got into the sphere type of thing.
So
you wouldn't do PT, physical therapy.
I did try school. It's not for me.
No.
MDC. I was a shark for like 2 years. C's, straight C. Massage therapy was just more straightforward a trade. I didn't know that was an option, like coming out of high school either. Like that I could just do something where I can work with my hands and just get into the workforce more immediately. Yeah. So part of my frustration as a massage therapist for the first year was how, like people are coming in for neck pain and back pain, let's say. And I was instructing or just trying to tell them, hey, this pain that you are experiencing through the sitting or through the bad movements or through you just injured yourself, it's not going to get healed with massage therapy. And it would provide temporary relief. So I would try to instruct people, to try this exercise out, look at this YouTube video, follow me here. They would or wouldn't. But point is, I just wanted to I wanted to get to the root cause. And work with people's issues more directly. And that's what led me to then creating content. But before that, have you heard of ATG, knees over toes guy?
Yeah, of course.
So I found him around the age of 22. He really resonated.
That guy's out here changing lives, bro.
Yeah,
making life paths
crazy.
for people.
It's awesome, man. I just saw an obscure YouTube video. I don't know. I didn't look up anything. You know, it just popped up. Saw it, one video. I was hooked. Bought into the program because I've never bought into any program before. And at 22, I shouldn't be cautious of how I swing my left hip out of the car, right?
Yeah.
But I always had to be like a bit careful because if I do it too fast, something's gonna like pop or something's gonna hurt. So,
Coño, bro, if at 22 your hips are popping,
man,
then
no, it's not good. So at doing the program, after a month, I already felt like amazing results. I just felt lighter. I didn't lose weight. It's not a program that's gonna build you muscle or make you lose fat. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, for the most part. So I continued this program, just kept feeling better every week, stronger, more resilient. I would play, basketball recreationally here. I was faster, less like soreness afterwards. And then over a period of 6 months, this is, after I'm 22 now, my body started to just kind of change too, physically, aesthetically. Becoming more athletic and chasing mobility and just how I feel, health, over the aesthetic, which was my main pursuit for the first couple of years.
And that comes as a byproduct.
Yeah, exactly. So I started trimming down. I wasn't like impressive, but on just comparing myself
just
to
look
my
more
own.
athletic.
Yeah, I was. It was the best shape I've ever been in to that point. So that's what then. It was like a beautiful kind of realization where I can just blend these worlds of, this world of pain and stiffness and that these people go through, with a more direct, like a direct approach to dealing with the root cause of that pain. But he just explains it, knees over toes guy, in such a way that anyone can do it. My 60-year-old mom, I put her through the program. She's lost a bunch of weight and just feels better. She has sciatic arthritis. All of that just kind of alleviates when I start training her through it. So, loved it. Became a certified coach with them. Still am. So I now try to, in terms of the content, try to pull. That's like the majority of my content. It's physical longevity based content, and with a couple of other things that I know you're a fan of, and we can talk about as well. But now I'm just trying to translate that even into like simpler terms. Into maybe more interesting ways, because it's just a matter of, it's a trickle down. There's like science, or not even above that, just some mysticism of how everything kind of works and how it functions. Then you can break it down with science. Then how do you translate that to 90-year-old mom, 20-year-old athlete, and everyone in between?
Yeah, it's different, not just demographics, different types of people in general.
Yeah, but we are all the same. We all have the same cells and bones that work the same. Diseases and genetics, sure. But fundamentally, we all can benefit from the same thing.
We operate the same, yeah.
Exactly.
The same OS, operating system.
Yeah, there we go.
I remember one of the first things that I noticed about your content was you had a strong focus on the tibialis. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people even know what the fuck that is. I didn't. So if you want to get into that, when it comes to mobility, how important it is.
It's I'm in social media, it just feeds you what you are kind of want to consume. And in my world, everyone knows about the tibialis, but then out in the real world, nobody knows. Yeah.
I didn't even know what the fuck it was. I'm not that I'm that into the world, but I know a little more than the average Joe. And I was like, what the fuck is a tibialis?
Yeah, so it's
who is she?
It's with muscles, with movement, there's antagonists to that movement. So the antagonist to a flexion of the bicep is the extension of the elbow with the tricep. So the calf muscle, what does it do? It points your toes down. The tibialis
raises them.
Yeah. So it's in the front, kind of laterally, and to the front of the shin. If you've ever jogged and you've experienced shin splints, that's micro tears in your tibialis.
Bro, that happens to me all the fucking
Still?
time, man. Yeah. I don't know why I can't. I don't know if I'm running the wrong way or whatever the fuck, but like I always end up with shin splints.
So it's a mix of biomechanics, how you're running, your movement patterns, and it can be just a weakness in the tibialis as well. Yeah. But it kind of just works inversely. If you have a weak tibialis, you over a long period of running, you're going to have poor form. But if you have poor form while running, a weak tibialis is just gonna make everything worse. So you can find by strengthening your tibialis, it can actually compensate for whatever poor running mechanics you have.
Damn, so I should be training my shit then.
Yeah, and I mean, running mechanics is probably the first thing. And that's easy, man. You know, you just try to land with your whole entire.
I want to get into that next. But before we head there, I just wanted to say, bro, how I would watch like your fucking videos, and this guy would pull up with like I don't even know what to call it, to muscle
the tip bar.
Is that what it's called? Tip bar.
Tip bar.
The tip bar, and just start like recording people like, yo, have you ever done this? And people are looking at like, who is this crazy guy with this machine that I've never seen? And then they just start, just lifting with their toes or with their feet, right? Just like pulling it up.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of people, bro, they can't make it to like what, like 15, 20, like a lot.
Well, you'd be surprised because it depends, how much load you put on it. But the tibialis is a very resilient muscle. We're using it every day.
Yeah, we're walking.
Exactly. So and it's resilient in the way that you can train it every day as well. And it's not like you're gonna injure yourself either. It's weird how like that muscle, because if you were to train your bicep every day, you're gonna tear something, eventually. It's not the case with the tibialis. So, yeah, the people would just kind of they think I'm like selling them something. So it took like a bit of
like,
just
here comes this guy fucking trying to sell me some shit.
But they love the feeling afterwards, because it's an intense burn when you take it to failure and with the proper amount of load. But I always make sure to take it to failure too, because I know what's coming after, and it's a relief. It's like a cooling of your entire shin, and you get to pick up your foot. Like, it just feels lighter. Like it
really
within the first set. Yeah. And for some of the people I've trained in person, they find some ankle, like, when you move your ankle just in a certain direction, there's like a tingy feeling there sometimes. One set of tibialis raises and it's gone, like it was never there. So knees over toes guy, he's another one. It's not like he invented the tip bar or that's
part of what you learned in
ATG. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So because that translates into not just running, or think of an old lady going up the stairs, and if she can just pick up her toes a little bit, she might prevent herself from stumbling over.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's one aspect. Then there's the aspect that I kind of train it for, which is more athleticism. The tibialis strength just translates into faster sprints and longer jumps, more resiliency when you land from jumping.
Less injury too, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, exactly. He because he was a basketball player in his 20s, blown out knees. Both of them had operated on, so he needed a way to. I don't know. It's just through his own experience, his own experimentation over the last decade. He found that if you strengthen the tibialis, that's less impact heading up towards your knee, because the tibialis is able to absorb that force that you put up on it. It's able to slow your heel from crashing down into the floor. So, because if you were to just go like that,
right, then the impact
straight to the
shock
knee,
goes
hip.
up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the kind of approach with ATG. It's a ground up approach. It's an approach that is non-existent in the regular bodybuilding world, where it's just for building muscles. But you're benching 3 plates. These big muscles can handle all that, but what about those smaller, intricate things? It gets smaller.
They take a hit. Yeah.
So yeah, the tip bar. I've got work to do. We all got work to do in making that popular, because it will literally save lives.
Well, you heard her here first, runners. Not me though, because I hate running, but I'll be safe out there. What else did you learn with ATG? Like, I guess something similar to the tibialis. Like, what other?
Okay, so we can segue into like kind of mobility here then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's different from strength training or building for aesthetics, but they're all kind of entangled. They're all the same thing, which is, if you can just sum it up in one word, it's movement. Mm-hmm. So mobility. What's a typical like mobility routine? What do you think a mobility routine looks like for you or the average person?
For me, I think mobility is anything. It's like for you take an elderly person, something getting up from a chair to running to just anything really that you're using your body, that your body can kind of not rust, but you know what I mean, just kind of like lose that bodily function as you age. You don't use it, you lose it right. Type of thing.
So that's exactly correct, because babies have extreme mobility. You can like get that little boy like just
like rubber.
It's awesome seeing them, and kids too as they grow up, like, you know, toddlers, 5, 6, 7, 8 year olds, they're still very mobile and plastic, right? So the just lifestyles that we adapt to as we age just kind of take that away. You know, the kids in PE class in middle school, how they sit, and they maybe sit with their like legs over here instead of like cross legs.
Yeah, you're right. Damn, I didn't think about that.
So you see, you know, girls kind of generally speaking are more mobile, at least in their hips, than dudes. And then also just like in terms of like overuse, like guys maybe work with their hands more, they're pushing more. That just kind of strengthens this front chain versus the back, where girls can do like back bends and all crazy stuff, you know.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way, but that makes sense.
It's a real cool thing to just kind of notice. So sitting, you know, that's another one. So with mobility, most mobility routines that I see, it's like static stretching at the gym, at least. Static stretching, maybe get a band and do some weird stuff with your knees, like some weird poses, yoga. So those do improve mobility to a degree, but in my own experience, because I've tried all those things too, it improves my mobility for that day. And in order to
but it has to have a long-term benefit, you know, if you're practicing some sort of mobility, like yoga, for example, if you practice a few times a week.
With yoga, we can just say that you're getting stronger in whatever the position it is that you're in, right? So with a downward facing dog, you're stretching your hamstrings, your glutes, maybe some lower back. Great. So in yoga, you know, you're kind of just instructed to go to where you can. But how about, you know, even further? It's not really like it will help you develop further range and mobility, but it's not the best approach to it. So, and there's a bunch of different approaches. The way ATG approaches it is this thing called strength through length.
Strength through length.
Yeah, the range of strength is there was another page another content creator, that was his name, but it's a beautiful way to encapsulate those two names: strength through length and range through strength. So I'm gonna like mess this up. I'm sure it's like there's a trainer out there with a bunch of degrees that can like better articulate what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So just a disclaimer. But if you kind of look at mobility as an issue of strength, so let's say if with touching my toes, trying to stretch my hamstrings, if I can't reach the floor, my hamstrings are not strong enough.
It's a lack of strength in the hamstrings
to get to that point. Exactly. So how do we then train strength through length? So let's look at an RDL now. Either with your knees completely locked or just a slight bend. With that position, at the bottom position, and you're holding dumbbells or a barbell, you're holding weights while your hamstring is in that lengthened position. That is going to be a more effective way to develop your mobility than just reaching towards the ground and holding deep breaths for 30 seconds.
Because you're strengthening, like you said.
Yeah. So that's going to just unlock further mobility, because the next, it could be the next training session, or after a couple of training sessions, you'll see that you can reach further with either the same weight or with more weight. And so what ATG does is there's maybe like one static stretch within the whole program, but you're never statically stretching through any of the exercises, right. And you're becoming more mobile. Not just more mobile, but you get to keep that mobility, because once you develop this mobility, you just kind of have to train it once a week, and you're going to maintain it. Yeah, it's not like yoga or other static stretchings where you have to keep doing the same thing a couple of times a week.
Damn, that's really interesting, dude. I didn't really look at it that way, but that's really enlightening.
The other thing with mobility is that it's it unlocks more than just, you know, your range, what you're able to do. When you are able to use, so a muscle's greatest contractile potential is when it's lengthened, when it's fully lengthened. So my bicep has the most potential when it's my elbow straight here. And, you know, nobody has a problem where they can't like, fully extend. But let's say I couldn't extend past this part right here. So my strength potential in flexion and curling something is less than what it would be down, you know, from
if
over
you're
here.
stretching, right?
Yeah. So something growing up in high school, like playing sports, I kept hearing like you want to be stiff. You don't want to be flexible because you're just I don't know why. It's dumb.
It sounds
like,
counterproductive. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's part of like the coach, because Knees Over Toes guy also talks about him, and a bunch of the coaches do that. They would hear that you don't want to be stiff because you're not going to be as fast or explosive, but that just led to pain and injury, and you know an inferior performance. So it's a cool thing with mobility because you become stronger, even if you're not going to use your mobility. Let's say with the RDL, I'm not going to do a full stretch, let's say. But just by having that mobility, I'll still be able to do more volume in whatever range of motion that I decide to train in.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. How long did it take you to, I guess, finish that training, that course?
So, yeah, they have 3 levels of certifications. Level 1 is 3 months. It's the minimum requirement.
Okay.
The requirements are you have to be able to hit the standard marks in maybe a dozen exercises. So this many reps with this perfect form. Perfect form is like the number one thing.
How do they gauge that you're doing it? Like a video or something? Like online?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's an app and a whole system
It tracks
involved.
you. Gotcha.
So you have to hit these markers with perfect form, and you have to train another person in hitting these markers. And what makes the certification process just awesome, it's because I have to go through everything and experience it my own. And then, like, think about the trainer who can get a certification in a weekend versus one who lived through the system and knows what can happen, the struggle, the problems that could come, how to fix them. And then the proof, where all of the certified coaches are just living proof of the system.
Let's go back really quick to we were talking about running earlier, and even just walking, man. Like it's like I've noticed how, I don't know if it's because of shoes, I don't know if it's because people are just kind of retarded, but through following people like yourself and the other guy, Bam Lionheart, is that his name? Yeah. And I've noticed how, for example, he's always, I don't know if you guys follow him, but most people probably don't. He just kind of like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like he does like cat crawls. Yeah. He just walks like a certain way. And I've never seen anybody like, for example, walk the way that he does or things like that. But I'm like, that makes sense. You know what I mean? And it's probably why people have fucked up spines and lower backs and knee problems and all that shit. And when I talk about mobility, I think about that type of stuff too. It's like how walking the wrong way for 30, 40 fucking years could probably be the reason why you end up with fucked up shit, whether it's shoes that cause it or whatever, but you're walking or running the wrong way, and that's affecting your longevity. Yeah, so he did GOTA, which I'm not even sure like what it is exactly either. Is that another program type of thing? I guess? Okay. It's similar to ATG, but they're completely different. Like they're both trying to do kind of the same thing, and they're like that one's more kind of philosophical too. ATG is like, hey, this is just a mobility program. Gotcha. So yeah, with movement patterns, that's something that I'm not like super well versed in. It's just ATG is like I said, it all trickles down. It's just a easier way to explain it to people, and it's not like one is better than the other either. They're both going to get results if through time and maybe a trainer, not injuring yourself, you're going to get results like with both of them. It's just what ATG is more of like a blanket. It can cover just a much larger demographic. Generalization, yeah. Gotcha.
But his stuff is awesome, man. Like he opens my eye, opens up my eyes and things that I didn't even think about.
Same, dude. I mean, I don't do anything that he does. I just watch it. I'm like, damn, I should probably do that. But no, it's really impressive, and it does make you think, man. Like it made me think. Why would anyone think of like, hey, maybe the way I'm walking isn't right? No, you've been walking your whole life. You're fine. Like, but you look at content like that, and you're like, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe this is the reason why when I wake up, I have like a kink in my back, or it's.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like we've got so much. Like people just have so much things on their plate already, and
Not to worry about mobility. Like, now I gotta be more.
Yeah, about walking. Like, oh, now I have to worry about walking.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, so I mean, there's solutions though. Like it's to any physical ailment. There's literally like no. Let me think. Maybe multiple sclerosis, but then that's like do you know what that is?
Yeah, the curved back, no?
Multiple sclerosis is like a nerve.
I thought it was a spine.
That's scoliosis.
Fuck, my bad.
Yeah.
Miami-Dade public school education. Sorry.
It's like
You're right, that's scoliosis, right? Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
It's some disease like having to do with your nerves where you're just in constant pain. But that's rooted in nutrition probably.
Gotcha.
So. But besides like stuff like that, obscure stuff, it's any physical ailments, tinks, tightness, pain, it's all solved through exercise. And that's how you get to the root.
So before we wrap up on the mobility stuff, regular person watching, just kind of wants to age as gracefully as they can. What are maybe like 2 or 3 top like general body mobility, like you said, like the tibialis, maybe that's one of them. I don't know. Like, what would you say that you've seen people improve the most with, or?
Okay, I mean, it's because the regular person watching is gonna have different areas of pain or tension. Lower back is probably
right. Like lower back is probably something that most people,
If you think of like that like structure, it's your hips, like bones, let's say hips, femurs, spine, all the ligaments that are attached to that, and then dozens of muscles coming to the front, the sides, up top, low.
So it's a lot going on.
Yeah, so it's like it's not like one back exercise is gonna solve all of the people's back problems, but let's say the ATG split squat is a very amazing exercise to do for lower back pain, even though it's not a lower back exercise. So I don't know. I have to do it right here on the table here. It's a forward lunge. So you are lunging in place. You're not stepping. You're lunging down to the front leg. The back leg is back here. It's straight. And you're keeping your torso erect. I mean, and all these exercises I'm going to name, it's all on my page so people can check it out. So the ATG split squat, even though it's not a lower back, it's not hitting the lower back directly. What's happening is you are stretching the psoas, the hip flexor.
Okay.
So that hip flexor picks up the knee. You're stretching the hip flexor, but you are also loading it while it's stretched, because when you're in the bottom position, you're keeping tension on the back leg. It's not like you're just stretching your hip flexor. It's if with maintaining tension on that back leg, you were able to stand erect. If there was no tension there, you just drop the knee to the ground. Yeah. So that psoas muscle attaches to the lower back, and it negates the effects of sitting, because in this sitting position here, my hip is flexed, and the ATG split squat, we're extending it. So that's a really good one for if you have back pain from sitting down. One of the most common ways that that people have back pain, it's through the ATG split squat. Oh, look at that.
Bro, look at this is quality production for those listening and not watching. What do I call you? My production technician guy? He just brought me a little figurine so this guy can
that's perfect. Like, that's perfect.
Can kind of like mold the functionality. Wow. This is hilarious.
So
I'm gonna have to tip you for this.
It'd be the ATG split squat would be something like this. This little stick doesn't let me get to the bottom, but it's like that. So the hip flexor here is being stretched. The hip flexor picks up that knee. It's being stretched. and it's holding tension, because if you weren't holding tension, you'd just fall over, right?
Right.
So it's holding tension because you're planting your foot down and you're keeping your knee straight. Ideally, too, you would want your torso erect, because since it does attach to the lower back, if you're bending down, you're shortening the hip flexor.
So you'd want the entire area straight. Is what you're
you
saying?
want this straight, and then this would be like
Curving up.
This would be, and then this would be fully bent, in the front. Then there's an issue of ankle mobility here. So let's say with ankle pain, a good mobility, not even mobility, just exercise to do for people with ankle pain would be the tibialis raise. It's stretching that front part of your ankle. And full length calf raises, that one's an exercise that a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't do it good. Like they do half reps. They're not squeezing all the way at the top. They're not stretching all the way down, and they're just kind of bouncing. That's the most popular way to just kind of.
Yeah, I've seen some
like on the seated calf
dorks
machine.
at the gym doing that shit.
Something like that. So doing calf raises with load, one leg at a time, because most people typically have one ankle that's tighter than the other, and through the full ranges. So that's a it's very simple approach to ankle pain.
So the calf raises assist ankles? Like the calf raises assist like ankle issues?
Oh yeah, because it's specifically more seated calf raises, sorry. So when you stretch your calf, there are two main muscles that are involved in that. It's the gastrocnemius and the soleus. The gastrocnemius is the big calf muscle. The soleus is one that you can't see, but it's underneath the gastroc and deeper into the calf.
Okay.
That one attaches directly to the Achilles tendon. So
also stretches down.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So when you do seated calf raises, you are working on that Achilles tendon and that soleus muscle.
Strengthening it.
Yeah,
right.
Stretching and through
which
length.
goes back to what you said, mobility.
Yeah, and you see that's not even like a mobility exercise, just calf raises.
Right.
That's one of like the more simpler one, because the ankle is very simple for the most part. And then let's say neck stiffness. I used to have a neck pain like towards like the back of my neck, and I started to do neck flexion. So working the opposite, moving my head forward, and I just did it for like 3 sets. I wanted to try out. I've never trained my neck before, and then one day, just on my drive to work, I just noticed like, hey, this pain isn't here anymore, and it was after 3 sets of neck flexion. So with neck pain, and this one's like the most simple one because it's more common than ankle pain, just as common as lower back pain, from the people I see in massaging or people DMing me. But it's
why do you think it's that? Is it like the way people sleep and shit, or
lifestyle? Sleep, maybe some phone for sure, books, working. But all of that can just be negated if you were to strengthen your neck. So yeah, neck flexion, neck extension, and that will probably cover 80% of people's neck pain. That's not even mobility either. It's just strengthening, doing curls with your neck. So those are 3 just key areas to hit. Some of the most common pains that people have.
You gotta go home and start fucking working out this neck.
Just on the edge of your bed.
Oh, like back type of thing.
Yeah. And you just flip over, do the front, then the back, and that's a simple way.
Okay. Andrew, you work out your neck? Brother, so I want to pivot now to your products, obviously, and talk about the sun, because I believe you're also a fellow ball sunner, like myself.
The president.
So I want to talk about, the only times that I've talked about the sun, I think, on this podcast was obviously when I had Sobra on, fucking Sun King, and I talk about it on my stories every now and then. But I said earlier how a large population in the US, everyone's fucking vitamin D deficient. When COVID started happening, I think the common factor was that most of these people that were contracting the virus and whatever, however you want to get into that stuff, but they were all vitamin D deficient. And it doesn't surprise me, as I said, like people are so sedentary. I think that's how you say that word. You're always sitting indoors. You're either in the car or in your work or in your house, laying in bed, watching Netflix. Like
sunglasses behind windows.
Exactly. Like you're constantly just shielded from the sun. And listen, people have different beliefs, and some people don't even say it's beliefs because it's science and all this shit. The sun's getting stronger. That's the reason why since I was, like, I guess to shift really quickly, I always hated sunscreen. Even when I was a kid, I'd never wanted to put it on. I just inherently, just intuitively was like, I don't want that. I don't want that. Like, I wasn't thinking obviously this way because I was a child, but I just never wanted to put it on. And, you know, the narrative goes that, you know, the sun's been getting stronger and, you know, it's harmful. And for sure the sun is harmful. Anything in excess can harm you, you know, like even too much water is bad for you. But I really believe, and there's a lot of studies that back this up, that skin cancer and issues with sun aging you and all this shit, I think it's a modern day problem caused by modern day living, and it's the things that we're probably putting on our skin and the things that we're consuming. Our bodies aren't. If you compare like the human body of 2023 with like the human body of like 1930, the acidic levels, the composition, like there's probably a lot of things that are different, and it's because of the things that you're probably putting on your skin topically and the things that you're consuming. I forgot where I was going with this, but yeah,
being shielded in the sun.
Yeah, bro, being in the sun has changed my fucking life like so much. Even just like 10, 20 minutes a day is enough. And just by like taking a walk, you don't got to go outside and tan. And people complain that their moods are, you know, shitty and like this and that. It's like, bro, just go out and get some fucking sun. Like, I honestly promise you, you will feel at least like 50% better. Maybe all your problems won't go away, but you know, like you'll feel inherently better.
Of course.
What do you go for it?
Well, yeah, I mean, the sun is like, it's the source, it's the in this realm, the source of all life, right? It's
imagine wanting to shield yourself from the source of all life. Imagine that.
That's where it's literally all where all of life comes
100%,
from. Like,
man.
There's no life on Earth without the sun and just what happens when life comes into contact with its rays. So, vitamin D, you know, we all know that we can produce vitamin D with the exposure to sunlight. And vitamin D is essential for immune function. And I'm just saying this because you touch on the
COVID thing.
Yeah. So, it's not surprising at all. Oh, well, not surprising because everyone's already kind of lacking it. But even less surprising that the people who contracted COVID and maybe probably got like the worst of it.
Bro, people catch colds like this. Like everyone's immune system is shit. It's like, it's probably because you don't fucking, your vitamin D's low.
I mean, it's a bunch of things too.
Well, right. But like, it's probably a factor in there too. Like,
and then, I mean, just vitamin D just plays into other just areas of your health where if you just if you don't have enough, other areas get compromised. And it's that just comes down, you know, it's a chain. So with the vilification of the sun, getting burnt is not a good idea. Of course, it's a physical manifestation. You know, you're just getting red. You're peeling. You never want to get burnt.
Overexposure to anything is going to cause harm. Yeah.
Well, it's the science, health gurus. They just have different definitions of what that might be. Overexposure. I'm not a scientist. I call myself a bro scientist, but I lean super bro. Like, I do look at studies and I can try to decipher what these, you know, big words mean, but it's more intuitive. What my experience in just in tanning and sunning my balls, all that. The solution really to trying to find a balance with getting an adequate amount of sunlight while not burning is developing what's called a solar callus. So a callus.
I was gonna bring that up. But go ahead. Yeah.
So calluses on your hands when you lift. What's happening there? So your skin is
breaking down,
nice and soft, and it's getting torn apart. And what happens is growth happens over that, and over time you just develop this callus where it protects you against the friction of the weight. So a solar callus is our own natural ability to tolerate sun exposure, and everybody except people who are albino have a ability to develop a solar callus. So the rays of the sun are different at different times of the day. In the morning and evening, there are less UVB rays coming in contact with your skin, and that's the type of UV ray that, when you're exposed too much of, can burn you and maybe develop cancer. And it's also the type of ray that stimulates melanin and gets you tan.
I've had people DM me, sorry to interrupt you, like, hey, 1 p.m., like a picture of like their thighs, like sun their balls, and I'm like, what do you? It's 1 p.m. Like, do you want to like lose your balls? Like, bro, just do this shit in the morning or in the like when the sun's going down. Like you said, when the rays are less harmful. Like, get the fuck inside. Like, what are you doing?
But I mean that's also like just not like I can probably do that. I take in a lot of sun every day. The average person shouldn't do that.
Of course not.
But they do want some exposure to that sunlight, and exposure meaning no clothing, no sunscreen, no sunglasses, not behind the window, outside, like in real life.
Direct, yeah.
Yeah, so as far as before that. So morning sunlight is very key, because those UVA rays that are coming through, those harmless rays that are just kind of getting your body prepped for more sunlight. I really like thinking of humans as, it's just a fact, we've lived for millions of years, different species, whatever, but we're all homos.
We're not all homos.
Yeah, but whatever the word is.
Homo sapiens.
There we go. Well, but it's because, there was Homo erectus and all these things, but we're all part of the same genus, species, family, whatever. And we've all evolved out, for the most part, outside. So if all of a sudden, the sun is something that we've evolved with,
absolutely,
is causing cancer, is not something that I just kind of buy into, despite whatever the studies say or the scientists think. But for sure, it has a role to play. But so does everything, So does the water you drink, the how much sleep you're getting, how you're managing stress.
It's a variable, right? That's kind of the way that I see it too. Is like the sun causes skin cancer. Probably not alone. It probably does, like, when you have it cooking your makeup on your face, or like it's cooking like those chemicals on the sunscreen or things of that nature.
Not the sunscreen.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting it. So look at how many recalls there have been recently for just sunscreens that people have been using for decades, bro. Neutrogena and Banana Boat and all this shit. And people have been saying, yo, maybe this shit causes cancer. Nah, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, there you go, What's your experience so far? You started, so talk about your products a little bit, because that's really where I wanted to get at. And talk about how the effects of animal fat can kind of serve as, like a sun barrier of some sort, so you don't get like overcooked, if you are tanning out there, and the rest of your products.
Yeah, so this is Sun Grazer. You can graze safely in the sun's rays. Like a happy cow.
I like it.
Because it's made with beef tallow. That's the main, that's the base of the whole thing. It's beef tallow, beef fat, for those who don't know. But the active ingredient in it is zinc oxide. So that is a mineral. It's a physical sunscreen. That's what you'll see in what they call physical sunscreens. Chemical sunscreen is the one that everyone should stay away from, with ingredients like oxybenzone and avobenzone.
Which other harmful stuff, yeah.
Yeah, just because, it shows that it can be carcinogenic. So at the same time, the studies that are out aren't like conclusive enough to be able to say that. But yeah, you've seen recalls. Part of the problem is like the fragrances and preservatives that are also just
included in there.
Yeah, synthetic, lab-made, estrogenic. Estrogenic meaning that it mimics estrogen, binds to your estrogen receptors, and then wrecks your hormones functions. So you can just look at that Banana Boat, Sunbum, like it's just a chemical, like disgusting thing. Like it's not natural. Zinc oxide. So my first defense against too much sun exposure, my first piece of advice is always going to be shade, and clothing. That's what I would opt for before
putting anything on.
Yeah, because zinc oxide, it doesn't damage the reefs like the chemical ones. It doesn't get absorbed by the skin and it doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier like the other chemical sunscreens. Still though, it's a metal. I just don't like I don't prefer the thought of it, you know.
I saw how there were studies where they found like the sunscreen's chemicals in people's piss and poop and shit. So it's like, bro, that shit's like in you.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
it's not good.
That shit's staying in you.
And I mean, it just wreaks havoc along the way too. It's not like you're just passing it through. You know, just people think, oh yeah, you know, it's in my excrement.
No, it's
you know?
It's in your bloodstream, dude. Yeah.
So it has zinc oxide as the main active ingredient. It's a mineral. It's going to leave a kind of a white cast, but that's how it works. Mineral sunscreens, physical sunscreens, what they do is they reflect back out the UV rays, whereas chemical sunscreens absorb it.
Right.
Those rays break down these chemical sunscreens, and then they just release. That's like the theory. It just releases more free radicals into your body, and that's why you kind of just now see in some spaces that the sunscreen actually causes cancer.
Yeah.
So zinc oxide reflects that light back, doesn't damage the environment, and it's made with beef tallow, like I said. So that's just because you know zinc oxide is a powder. You can't just slap on powder. You need something, you know,
a fatty or substance,
something
creamy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So beef tallow, it's a very nutritious thing to feed your skin because your skin is literally an organ that eats up anything that's you're applying to it. So beef tallow for all of those fatty acids that are
vitamin E, all that stuff.
Yeah. Carrot seed oil, it's a low PUFA seed oil coming from carrots, obviously, has a very high natural SPF of like 35.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, carrot seed oil and raspberry seed oil. Those are two that are very high.
Raspberry, I knew, I've used that before. Just straight up cold press like raspberry oil. I've put that like as a tanner type of, not a tanner, tanning
Sunblock,
oil. Yeah, tanning oil. Yeah.
Some coconut oil as well, and then vitamin E. Like just straight vitamin E, because the vitamin E is an antioxidant, right? It takes away any free radicals in your body. So if you're being exposed to sunlight and those UV rays come into contact with your skin and then they alter your DNA, and then your cell goes kind of nuts. It just starts
the mitochondria, just kind of like
it breaks down,
right.
It kills itself. That's what you don't want. So vitamin E is there just to kind of flush any potential of that out of the system. So that's like with a lot of zinc based sunscreens in Walgreens, wherever, it's got zinc or titanium dioxide. Those are the two minerals, but then it just it doesn't do anything good after that because it's just loaded with fragrances and preservatives that are not, you don't want to consume either. And most people will find probably more like that's the thing that's irritating them, giving them allergies, and then just affecting your hormones as well. So vitamin E, carrot seed oil, beeswax, sorry, I forgot to mention that, just to make it waterproof, just to give it more kind of a slickness, so you don't have to constantly reapply. So it's things that you would literally eat, or you can eat besides zinc. That should never, you can't eat this. With the sea salt spray, you can eat. You can. I wash my fruit with it. It's just sea salt, and sea salt it's more than just sodium. It's magnesium, potassium, so it's loaded with minerals. It has acidic water, so of a pH of about 6.
Okay.
And eucalyptus and lemon oil. So the acidic water is just for antimicrobial effects. So
what do you use it for exactly, the spray?
The spray has multiple uses. I just use it for my hair now.
I mean, look at his locks.
I liked my most popular use for it is to sanitize my hands. So it's not like washing your hands with soap, but it's just a quick on the go thing. Salts and acidic water, and then the essential oils in it are also antimicrobial, and they keep the water acidic as well. People use it to wash the fruit. They use it for deodorant. It's not an antiperspirant. Any kind of body odor you have,
Well,
you
if it's
spray on top of it.
antimicrobial, a
Yeah,
lot of
exactly.
the bad odors are microbes, right? Like,
Well, it's a kind of a mix because before I went down this way of living that I've done, that I'm like just I touched on so many things all at once, and I went like extreme with it.
ham, yeah.
Yeah, so I would come out of the deodorant was one thing that I eliminated the aluminum based deodorants
Right, yeah.
that I was using for years, and started eating well, and I would shower, scrub, come out, and I'd reek. That continued for like 3 months until it was finally like no odor
Your
came
poor
out.
girl.
So it's it's not really an issue of like with me. It wasn't an issue of bacteria there. It was just something deeper going on. But yeah,
Gotcha.
if your
When it
odor
is
is coming,
when it is topical, it is
yeah,
like, yeah.
exactly. So this will take care of that.
And the soap?
Yeah, the soap is made with beef tallow, coconut oil, and olive oil, and then what they call sodium hydroxide or lye. So
Which is?
it's a chemical that saponifies or makes those oils and fats
Well, I don't know
hard.
what the saponifier is, so you're going to have to...
Yeah, so it just that chemical makes with water makes the fats solid.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's kind of different theories on how the first soap was kind of made, but my favorite is these tribes wherever were roasting a pig or a sheep over a fire. So the fat drippings would drop down to the wood and ash, because that's sodium hydroxide. Wood and ash, that's where there's naturally occurring sodium hydroxide in the wood and ash. I don't know how they get it now, but now it's just pure white crystals. So that mixture of the fat and the lye or sodium hydroxide would run down after rain. Would come, and it would run off to the streams or lakes, rivers. And the people would notice there's like this shiny film on the lake or wherever the body of water is, and then they notice also when they went through that part of the water that they come out like cleaner. So that's
shit.
Yeah, that's a cool.
That's fucking
way to think.
wild.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Like we can just invent stuff, man. It's out of nowhere. So yeah, with beef tallow, olive oil, coconut oil. I also make one without beef tallow for the vegans, because
Veganism isn't cool anymore, guys. Stop being vegans.
my story with acne was I had a bunch of I had a mad back acne.
I saw, on your page, yeah.
Nose full of blackheads here. So during COVID, I also had this skincare routine that I would do every day or however many times a week to just maintain a better appearance. When COVID hit and I wasn't going out as much, I just kind of stopped that routine and would just shower normally. And I noticed I stopped using those strips that you rip those blackheads out, and after a month the blackheads got smaller. I stopped using honestly soap. Like I would just shower with water, my back acne cleared up. So that always just kind of stuck with me, like, wow, it's these things that were
It's the fucking products.
Yeah.
So they're keeping you fucking locked up like in jail cell.
so. And that might be the solution for a lot of people with acne. It's just getting rid of that. But people want to use soap, want to be cleaner, smell good. So that's why HealthYSol, it affects. I mean, what? Imagine the confidence someone has when their skin is tan and bright, healthy, compared to
100%.
just wrecked up. Like it's doing more than just.
Not just that.
keeping
It's
you
your
healthy.
body's largest organ, like you said. Like you have to fucking take care of it. You know?
Oh yeah, but that's why I go with the name HealthYSol. Like we go even deeper. Like you're getting true health that's gonna just come out in different ways. Just things that you never like ATG too. Like some pains that or not pains, but just tensions that I didn't know was there, just free and more movement unlocked. Like it does something to you more than just whatever it is. Like in that realm that you're focusing on, it just adds up. So it's a nourishing. I like to think it's nourishing, your soul from inside, and then it just manifests to healthy skin.
I see what you did there. Nice.
My girlfriend, her kind of story with she has endometriosis. No cure for that. So something that she had to really do to find a solution for it was limit her estrogen, limit her the estrogenics that she consumes. They told her that, you know, there's no cure, and the only way to alleviate your pain is to be on this pill forever. So she got off birth control. It took her a few months to just eating a certain way, using certain products.
Because you have to re-regulate your body, right? I guess
It's a whole like thing. It's like an onslaught, man. It's what's rooted in my opinion, all of the diseases that you see today. It is your hormones. That if you just wanted to simplify and just not be nitpicky and pick one thing out, it's all affecting your hormones. So she's been able
that's
to.
Why we have so many liberals out there. But that's a different podcast.
And yeah, and thinking about it, like I was more, you know, leaning towards that side. She was too.
It's the hormones,
before
they turn you a Democrat.
So she was able to get rid of her pain completely. Have regular, you know, cycles through this more holistic, natural way of living. And she, you know, she makes me like I do, you know, the production, the marketing. I get in front of the camera, I make the content, but she just allows me to shine, and that's what, like, it's a collaborative effort. You know, this why, like, I'm just mentioning because it's she's here, you know, with me and with HealthYSol right now. You know.
Yeah, it takes more than one man to.
Oh yeah, man, and I suck with everything that has to do with that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I would prefer to just live, you know, here and never look at a screen. Man.
I mean, this is a reality, dude. Yeah. You gotta, you know, there's no way around it. Tell everybody where they can buy your products.
HealthYSol soap, HealthYSolSoap.com. We're also on Instagram. So with Instagram, we just put out education because we just don't want to flex a product and put testimonials. We want to help people understand. Just like on my pages, I just want to help people understand.
Yeah, be educated, knowledgeable about what you're doing and why you're doing it.
So the HealthYSol Soap on Instagram as well, where you can just find out a little bit more about vitamin D, skin health, and then you can also purchase, you know, our stuff through there.
Your tags, social media?
KeysToLongevity on Instagram and Twitter. You know, I can go. We can go a little bit into the liberals, conservatives, you know. But on Instagram, I try to keep it a little. I'm gonna give up my personality, you know. That's the only way I have fun with it. But KeysToLongevity content on mobility, losing fat, getting stronger, sunning your balls, food, clothing, Wi-Fi. Eventually, you know, all these things that is such a big world, and there's so many people that don't know.
Yeah, dude, we're doing a good thing. My brother, thank you for joining me. Great convo.
That was awesome. So thank you, man.
Thank you, man.
See you guys.
That's all the time we got today, guys. And as always, like, share, subscribe, all the things like I said earlier before. And have yourselves a good day. Y como siempre, no se metan con nadie para que nadie se las meta. Have a good one.